Surprise! Welcome back to the fourth episode of the Holland Impact. I'm Christian Holland. I'm your host, and I am super excited to surprise you with the fourth episode released on the same day as the third. So, without further gilding the lily, let's go. Welcome back, you guys, to the fourth episode. I was only planning on releasing one episode today, but a conversation with my wife last night made me want to make another one on top of the Wisdom Tooth episode that I released earlier today. This episode is going to be talking about mental health. In southeast Idaho, where my wife and I live, there's a pretty sad situation that just sweeps through where we live. It's called seasonal depression. It normally occurs during the winter months, like the late fall, and then all the way through winter. And because I've felt the effects of this seasonal depression, I have felt a strong urge to make an episode talking about mental health so that I can make this as a way to reach out to those of you who might be struggling with mental health tribulations, struggles, disorders, mental illness in some form or another. And I just want to tell each of you who might be going through this and say, you are not alone. In the short amount of time that I took to prepare for this episode, because really this one, I just want to get it out here as soon as possible, so I'm flying by the seat of my pants. I just read an article that over 19% of America's population is struggling with mental illness in one form or another. That's more than 50 million Americans. So this is a very common thing. We don't need to shun mental illness. We don't need to hide away, make this taboo, like this is something we don't talk about. We need to talk about this. You either love him or hate him, but Sigmund Freud, he's like every psychology student's worst enemy because he came up with some really weird things, but he's the reason we have talk therapy. He said, we need to talk about this. We need to get this out in the open. We need to not suffer in silence is what I would say. So we need to talk about these things. So I want to just discuss for just a few moments on just some of my thoughts on mental illness. So here we go. Oh, before I go any further, I need to make this point, and I can't stress this enough. I don't know how many of you who are listening know who Ben Shapiro is. Again, you either love him or you hate this guy. So he was doing a lecture at a university, and the university's name is eluding my mind. So he had a student. There was a student there who introduced himself as a double major. He was majoring in mathematics and physics, but he also said that made him a mathematician and a physicist, and that really bugs the crap out of me because I don't care who you think you are. Just because you're studying something doesn't mean you are an expert in it, or just because you read something on the internet doesn't make you an expert in that thing at all. Just because I am studying psychology doesn't make me a psychologist. I am a psychology student. So I want you to take everything I say with a grain of salt, because while my feelings might be well-intentioned, they're not coming from an expert in psychology and especially in mental disorders. If you are one of these people who are struggling with mental illness, please don't just listen to what I have to say. You need to go find the help that is required for you to be able to take control over your life again. Do not suffer in silence. depression, bipolar disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, which is what I have. These things are nothing to be ashamed about. So please, if you need help, I kind of feel bad that this was turned into a meme. Michael Jordan's video called where he goes, "Stop it, get some help." I feel bad that that's become a meme because that was actually for a, as far as I know, that was for a mental illness awareness, like advocacy video. So I echo the words of Michael Jordan. Stop it. Get some help. You need help. These things are not taboo. They're not something to be swept under the rug and we'll just talk about it later. No, we need to talk about these things. So I also hope that I don't sound like a broken record, even though I might be saying the same things over and over and over again. I'm just trying to stress how strongly I feel about this. As someone who does struggle with mental illness, I want to share with you guys some of the things that I would hope people would share with me if they find out that I have a mental disorder. So right now, I just want to talk about some of the chemical and electrical messengers in the brain that are at the root of mental disorder. Did you know that there are these cells in your brain called neurons? So let's just talk about neurons for a second. So a neuron is a cell within your brain that makes information processing possible. A neuron is made up of a cell body. So just picture a circle. That's the soma, or the cell body. Then on top of that cell body, a neuron has dendrites, which are tree-like branches whose purpose is to catch incoming messages from other neurons. At the bottom of the cell body, at the bottom of that circle, keep that picture in your mind. At the bottom of the cell body is called the axon, which is a spine-like mechanism that carries information down to what's called terminal buttons. The axon is kind of like the spine in your back. It connects you to everything else. So terminal buttons, like what the heck is that? So terminal buttons are the area on the neuron where the electrical signal which was coming down the line is then converted to chemical signals called neurotransmitters. Those neurotransmitters are sent by the neuron into what's called a synapse, which is a small space between neurons. The neurotransmitters are caught by the dendrites of another neuron, and the chemical signal is reconverted to an electrical signal, and then the process starts all over again. The signal travels from the dendrites down to the cell body, which travels down the axon, which travels to the terminal buttons, which is then converted to a chemical signal and then sent through the synapse. Another neuron catches those signals, reconverts it to an electrical signal, sends it back down the line, and so on, and so on, and so on. So one of these neurotransmitters in your brain is called serotonin. And serotonin actually is one of the most prominent neurotransmitters in your brain because it regulates a lot of the body's functions. It regulates mood, it helps with digestion, triggering nausea, sleep, healing your wounds. Serotonin also maximizes your bone density. It keeps your bones healthy, and it even regulates sexual health. Now, I've heard neurotransmitters described as kind of like oil in a car. So when your brain gets low on oil or low on these neurotransmitters, when the serotonin levels in your brain are low, it can cause some problems, kind of like oil in the car. Low levels of serotonin may be associated with depression, anxiety, sleep problems, digestive problems, suicidal thoughts and behaviors, obsessive compulsive disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, panic disorders, phobias, and the most devastating of all the mental disorders, schizophrenia. So when your brain gets a little low on oil, you might start to think many messages that are sad, devastating, and ultimately untrue. Messages like, nobody really likes me, my family would be better off without me, why don't I have any friends? You might look in the mirror and just feel disgusted with yourself. None of these things are true. It's just your body, your brain is running a little low on oil. So we need to not suffer in silence. You would go talk to someone about it. You wouldn't put off getting oil in your car. You need to go see one of the Jiffy Lube down the street. Or in my case, here in Rexburg, Idaho, we have something called a grease monkey, which is where I get my oil changed. So yeah, if you don't get your oil regulated in the car, eventually you're going to run into some problems. So you wouldn't just ignore the oil light in your car. You wouldn't ignore the oil light in your brain if it ever turns on. So we need to talk about these things. We need to go get those levels where they should be. You guys, depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, any other mental illness is nothing to be ashamed about. My situation, if I can just be a little personal real quick, I went to go see a psychiatrist for bipolar disorder, but upon further analysis, my psychiatrist felt that I had obsessive compulsive disorder. And because I was able to go talk to someone about it, someone who was trained to diagnose mental illness, as well as prescribe medications that she or he would feel is necessary to get my brain chemicals regulated and back under control, I was able to feel a little bit better about myself. So I feel like I said this already, but I need to say it again just to make the point. When you look up symptoms for mental disorders on the internet, you're going to get a lot of similar symptoms for depression, anxiety disorder, bipolar disorder. A lot of these mental illnesses have similar symptoms, and you might start to misdiagnose. Please do not run into that danger, and play it safe and go talk to somebody about it, because they have the medical training that will be able to more fully help you and maximize your physical health as well as your mental health. So please, again, do not suffer in silence. Seek the help that you need, but also please be careful of the information you might find on the internet. And even on this podcast, since it's technically on the internet, please, if nothing else that I have to say strikes a nerve with you, please talk to someone you trust. Talk to a friend that you trust, parents, teachers, your boss, or someone, anyone, to be like, hey, I think I might be struggling with this. And if they really care about you, they will help you. Just talk to someone. At my lowest point, I was in my car in tears, calling the suicide helpline because I felt like I had no one else to turn to. And this was at like 3:00 in the morning, and I felt that no one cared enough to answer the phone that early in the morning. But someone did pick up. Someone did listen. And I just want you guys to know that there is someone out there, someone in your circle of friends, of teachers, your parents, relatives, who really does care and will listen and will not turn away from you, but will put their arm around you and say, here, let me help you. Let me carry this burden with you, and let's figure this out together. Let's get you the help that you need to more fully be able to live the life that you deserve. So you guys, to end this episode, I wanted to read some quotes off of the embracehealth.com quotes about mental health to share that I thought were really profound and insightful. And I want you guys to take these quotes to heart and really just think, what is in this quote that is for me? So here we go. Your mental health is just as important as your physical health. Your struggles do not define you. Taking care of your mental health is an act of self-love. You are worthy of happiness and peace of mind. You are not alone in your struggles. Your mental health matters more than any external validation. You're stronger than you realize. Your mental health should not be stigmatized. Small steps can lead to big progress in mental health. Self-care is not selfish. It's necessary for good mental health. You are deserving of a life free from mental health struggles. It's okay to take medication for your mental health. You are not a burden for seeking help for your mental health. You have the power to overcome your mental health challenges. You are deserving of love and compassion, especially from yourself. Your mental health struggles do not define your future. You are not your thoughts or emotions. It's okay to have bad days and ask for support when you need it. You are not alone in your struggles, even if it feels that way. You are capable of breaking free from negative thought patterns. Despite your mental health challenges, you are capable of creating a life filled with purpose and meaning. Well, you guys, thank you so much for coming with me as we dive into mental health and as we make a stronger resolve to talk about our problems and seek help, and to really ingrain in our minds that seeking help and trying to solve our problems, it's not selfish, it's necessary. So until next time, my name is Christian Holland, and this is the Holland Impact.